Emily, how are we
Hello.
doing?
This is such a cool format. I'm thinking about, can I screenshot this to my parents and tell them I'm on Fox News or something?
Yeah,
Maybe I
please,
tell them
please.
tell
Oh
them like,
my
hey,
God.
tune in to Channel 9. I'm live right now.
Yeah, fuck yes.
You're making Pete's very happy right now. He takes a lot of inspo from traditional news shows. I think
This
CNN
is
CNN
awesome.
CNN's the target, Peace.
Well, I've been on a big Fox business kick, so that's great.
Yeah, my mom's gonna love this one.
Awesome.
Nice. We'll hook you up with a bunch of clips after too, and you can send them to all your family. Nice, Emily.
How are you?
Excited to have you on. So you're the CMO at Hype Partners, which is one of the longest standing crypto marketing agencies. Worked with names like Athena, Optimism, Sui, Eigenlayer, Tycho, and many others. Yeah, I think where I want to start. So you've been working in marketing and growth for a long time. I think I saw in your bio, CPG, SaaS, kind of the gamut of big Web 2 categories. And I feel like the tried and true playbooks of the last decade have kind of evaporated, and we're really entering into a new attention paradigm. So I'd kind of just love you to comment on that transition a bit and give us an overview of how you think about marketing today.
Yeah, maybe I can zoom out a bit and not just talk about crypto marketing, but in general, technology has changed how we have marketed. So I first got really deep into marketing in my college dorm room because I really wanted to travel and I wanted freedom, which I saw as ability to be anywhere in the world. This was 2013, 2014. So I was watching a ton of videos on dropshipping, SEO, Shopify stores back then. And from that journey, it led me to my first agency. And where I've seen things change over the last few years, or not even the last few years, but in my 8-year career, is before we had AI, before we had ChatGPT, Meta, Google, they all had these really strong machine learning algorithms that can deliver content that you like, right? So as a performance marketer or a growth marketer, you're thinking about how can I best use this algorithm as my friend to make sure I'm connecting this product or service with the right people. Now we have AI in the mix. So it makes tooling to generate creative, generate hooks, angles, even faster. So everyone kind of has this, like, the edge kind of became commoditized. And I saw this 4 years ago with meta ads, where back then, to really be great at meta ads, you would do hyper targeting. So you would like get really niche on who you target. Maybe you hyper focus on like vegans and you even exclude if they like McDonald's, if you really want to target them. And then because the machine learning algorithm got so strong, you would just go fully broad and focus on creative. And now we're seeing the same thing as well, right? Like everyone's doing a video stream, or it's so easy to spin up a podcast that I think we're moving into this new paradigm of two paths: going high frequency and then also going really high quality. And quality can mean substance. It can mean your brand or your tone. So it's really exciting. And then who knows, like when we're all brain chipped, like maybe the way we consume content is telepathically, and that could be a whole different medium.
Yeah, our subconscious will just be ordering us stuff, and it'll show up at our door without us even knowing what's happening.
Yeah, you could prompt to Uber food or Uber Eats and prompt to order, or like imagination prompt.
Totally. Yeah, I remember. So I was at Hopper for a while, which is a big flight hotel booking app. Had like 10 million monthly active users, and yeah, we had a really good performance marketing team, and I would go sit beside them at times, and they had there were like 10 people creating like the most random obscure creative they could possibly imagine. You'd launch it all into different audiences into Facebook. You'd monitor them very closely, see which ones perform well in the first minute, put more money into those ones, turn the other ones off. And it was this very like manual process, but also like that was the entire game, right? It was like raise a bunch of money, pour a bunch of money into Facebook, try to acquire users at a reasonable payback period and make sure your LTV and CAC ratio is good and blah, blah, blah. And that was the game. So I guess like when you're thinking about performance marketing today, obviously, TikTok is the new kind of mega distribution channel in the room. Like what is UGC kind of taking over? That's what it seems like kind of from the high level, but.
Yeah. So maybe for this question, I can go deeper into crypto marketing. I believe crypto Twitter is not growing at all. It's actually stagnating or getting smaller, which means that even with more protocols, apps, consumer apps getting funded, everyone is competing for the same pie, and competition for attention is just getting a lot more competitive. So it's not just about should we go on TikTok or should we go on LinkedIn, but it's truly thinking about how do you expand and capture a new target audience. And there's two ways to do that. You either need to create a product that is going to attract a different audience that isn't just crypto native. And we have seen that with certain consumer apps where the crypto piece is fully abstracted. And or you just need to go to a completely new channel. So right now, one of the channels we're testing is TikTok. We're actually not doing paid ads there. It's all organic, but it's very high volume, a mixture of high quality UGC down to faceless, down to AI UGC models, and just like spray and play to see what works. That's been really fun. To me, it's one of those opportunities similar to probably what you saw at Hopper, where it's like, how do we find algorithm arbitrage until it doesn't work anymore? Because all of these things aren't timeless. So I think a lot about being a marketer is playing and experimenting, similar to what you guys are doing with having this like Fox News format.
Yeah, I think it's such an important point, because so many people will, see what's working somewhere else and just copy it. But often, at that point, it's already saturated, or you're just missing how deeply embedded kind of that growth flywheel is into the actual product. And you kind of just have to think from first principles when you're growing things, right?
Yeah, it's so important you call that out, because I have this take that technology and AI is also making it harder to connect with creativity. So like the business term is thinking from first principles, right? But how are you actually coming up with the trends versus just replicating the trends? And there is value in doing both. But I've been thinking about this for myself too, because I notice when I get burnt out, which has happened in my last 4 years being full-time in crypto, my creativity just goes down. And I'm curious what both of you do. But I think too much reliance on GPT or just like over excess of information actually hurts our creativity, or makes us just like do iterations of things we're seeing versus being able to come up with the next trend. What are your thoughts?
I mean,
Yeah.
for me, I really think that, creativity, it sucks to be uninspired, but I just think that it all is such a practice. And I think that, frankly, what I do is I make lists, and I make lists until they compound into something meaningful. And the other thing that I've been trying to do is like fake meditation, which is where I sit down until I'm bored and I can't fucking take it anymore. And I have to like do one of the ideas that's burning at my skull.
Wait, this is hilarious. This could be like one of those like health thought threads on meditation LARPing and how it connects with your creativity.
It's super important for me, at least, to not pretend that I'm doing something super elevated, because it's just like all I'm trying to do is get bored quick, like get bored fast until I'm in action.
Right. You're not trying to reach enlightenment. You're just trying to get really fucking bored.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay. So Emily, when you guys are working with someone at Hype Partners, like let's say, a project comes to you and says, we want to, double our audience or double our monthly active users, or, whatever the thing they're trying to optimize for is, like, how do you start from there and ultimately design like a strategy or a playbook for them to go execute?
Yeah. So at Hype, you name some of the clients that we've worked with in the past, and you can see a lot of them are relatively well known. So we're typically working with Series A or larger projects and beyond, and they typically have like a mainnet launch or a big announcement or TGE coming up. I will say my last 4 years, it hasn't been like, hey, we need exactly X number of users, where I was very used to that experience coming from Web2 agencies. It's like, hey, this is the ROAS we want to target. This is the month-over-month return and month-over-month growth rate. This is the LTV. Based off that, this is the exact CAC. Crypto is so different. So I think if you are a specific app, then you can talk about DAUs or app downloads. If you are like a bigger protocol, it really depends. For us to distill what they need, a lot of it is how do we get them as much attention as possible, and how do we make sure that attention is fruitful? So whether you're an app or an ecosystem or a protocol, users may mean different things. Ecosystems are a lot more nuanced, because that could be like developers, builders, and retail as well, where a consumer app is you can go directly to retail. So sometimes not even crypto retail. Sometimes it can be completely abstracted and you can go straight to Meta or IG Reels or TikTok. So I think it's really the same as working at a Web2 agency or just in any marketing position of what is your main goal? And then who are the people that will help you get there? And also setting proper expectations. Without such strong KPIs and benchmarks, since not everything, but a lot in crypto is pre-product market fit, we're constantly like educating them based off what we've seen historically or have seen with similar clients in the same category, or also what's timely right now. The other thing to add here is like crypto moves in narrative cycles. So there was a period of time where everyone was like, hey, can you make us like Berachain? And now that's switched to, hey, can you make us like Hyperliquid? So who knows who the next like.
What do you say that? I hope your answer to that is no. We cannot.
I think with Berachain, it would be like, hey, we have a TGE in, I don't know, 4 weeks or 2 months. Can you make us like Berachain? And then we would pull up like Kaito and show them like, they've been building this for 3 years now. It's been like a 3-year community. So I think it's just setting realistic expectations. So it also gets the whole partnership started on the right foot.
I mean, you mentioned Kaito. I'm curious what you think about this kind of incentivized attention generation world that exists now for crypto.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I think similar to Meta's getting arbitraged away, I do think until they launch some type of new feature or new product offering, it has gotten very saturated. I don't know about you, but my timeline is just like people talking about projects to fill up space. And I'm sure their team recognizes it too, because they literally built the algorithm to see what everyone's saying on X. I also have noticed that there are less projects doing the leaderboard. So maybe there is like a total, maybe we're all connected through Hive consciousness and they're like, okay, what's the next meta? But I would say when they first came out with the leaderboard, it was like Eclipse that was one of the first projects to take advantage. That was more of using this new feature, something novel, and turning it into a campaign moment, where now it's not necessarily, we have a leaderboard, this is our campaign. It's purely just like a tool now. It's just like saying like, okay, we have Galaxy and Zeely set up. It's not an actual campaign. It's just purely a tool to incentivize and measure people.
I'm super curious. I saw this tweet maybe last week that was saying, the sad reality is if Steve Jobs was a beginner founder today, he would be Thought Boy posting on LinkedIn, writing cheesy threads or something like that. And then there was this big debate as to whether or not he would be the type of founder who would do that, yada, yada. But someone was saying basically like, good CEOs are going to go after the highest leverage attention that they can get. So is that writing Thought Boy threads on LinkedIn in 2025? Probably not. But it did make me ask this question. Like, what is the highest leverage thing that a founder can do for attention right now? Especially as you're mentioning, like so much of the targeting ads has been totally commoditized. We're like at peak saturation for takes and commentary in the world. Where can we find an edge and leverage in the world right now?
That's a really interesting thought experiment, because if let's say Steve Jobs was alive today in the present moment, right? Like where you should show up if you are trying to capture attention as CEO or C-suite or anyone part of your team should also be dependent on where you're, like who you're trying to target. I've never built a personal brand until working in crypto. And the main reason was purely for how do I get leads and build hype so people know about us. And honestly, it was really difficult at first. It feels really unnatural. I think now I've kind of found my flow. It feels really uncomfortable posting on TikTok still for me. That's more like a personal experiment. But where I'm going with this is for hype specifically, our audience is on crypto Twitter, and that may change. I have been thinking more about other channels. But if you're, say, like Steve Jobs, and you already have Apple as an established company and you already have that brand awareness globally, then maybe your way of capturing attention is different than, say, like the Cluey founder or these Gen Z founders that are also using Twitter and TikTok to get viral attention. I will say, so yeah, it depends. Maybe if you give me an example of a founder, we can workshop it and like the stage of their company.
Oh, I mean, I think that this idea was like, pre-Apple
Like
Steve Jobs.
if he was starting Apple today.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, like
I mean,
starting from scratch.
Totally. Roy Lee from Cluely, right, is a good example of someone who is doing the high leverage thing. It's quite uncomfortable because we don't know how it'll play out.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say it was uncomfortable because of his shirtless pics.
No, yeah, I mean, bring it on, Roy. That's what we're here for. Yeah,
I haven't seen those, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Emily, how do you? Because obviously, like the strategy that you have to run at if you're early stage, established kind of growth stage is very different. So our largely who we work is like founders at the earliest stage, and a lot of people that listen to this are early stage founders. And I'm kind of the opinion that I think a lot of crypto projects actually go after like scaled attention way too early when they should actually just be focusing on getting the right 100,000 people who actually really care and believe and build the right product for them before and building that kind of strong foundation before scaling. But I'm curious if you agree or any kind of growth marketing advice for early stage founders.
Yeah, let me add some more nuance to that. I agree to a certain extent. I think it's really helpful to get mass attention and build FOMO and maybe gatekeep the actual app. Like we're talking about a crypto consumer app, right? I think a really good example of this is Noise or Euphoria, where these are built on Mega East testnet. And you see the app in action and you see only a certain amount of people have access to it. And it's only on testnet. So they have captured mass attention, but not everyone has access to it. To your point, I do agree. Like if your app isn't ready yet, you shouldn't just give access to everyone because that first impression of an app is so important. I'm someone that tests apps all the time, not just crypto, but also a ton of AI apps. And if that first impression isn't better than another app I've tested, I'm probably going to delete it because I'm out of storage on my phone. So I think there's a balance there.
Totally. All right, awesome. We're gonna have to let you go here and bring John up, but really appreciate you jumping on. Love to have you on again in a few months and check in on what's happening in the marketing growth scene of crypto. But really appreciate you jumping on.
Thanks so much for having me. Can I ask one question? Maybe it's asked before already. Is that a burrito or a cigar hanging out of?
That's a cigar. I'm a cigar chomping, Bitcoin holding monk. Philosopher.
It's impressive. I really like the meditation LARPing. I think that was inspirational, and it's impressive. The cigar stays there. Thanks so much for having me.
Peace, Emily. Talk soon.
Talk soon.